Very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Kampir. Let's get started. On Gravitas tonight, we start off by telling you all about how the cracks seem to already be showing in that major agreement signed between Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Turkey. Massive developments have unfolded. We get to you the complete lowdown and decode where things stand. Also on the show for you tonight, in India, the Jharkhand student protests, the anger boiling over on the ground. Meanwhile, police resorted to lathi charge as the protesters marched to the assembly. We explain what's happening. We also get you a Gravitas special report. Taiwan military drills. In fact, they are preparing a drone nightmare, it seems, for a potential Chinese invasion. Israel's new submarine could give it a hidden strike option. We tell you how. And the special focus from South India, we tell you all about the battle that's only escalating down there over the delimitation bill. Also, a special report coming up on how Typhoon Dolphin is also impacting India's monsoon rainfall. All this and a lot more coming up. Remember 3 days ago, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Turkey signed a trilateral defense pact with a lot of fanfare. However, cracks within that crucial alliance have surfaced just within about 24 hours. Even as the Iran-backed Houthis launched that attack on Saudi Arabia, Pakistan stayed away from the battlefield. In fact, Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir's choice is quite clear. It's also glaring at this point, considering the most important aspect of this deal. According to the agreement, any armed attack against any one of these three countries will be regarded as an attack against them all. Now, it's worth noting that despite that similar clause being present in the Pakistan-Saudi Defense Pact signed in September last year, Munir's forces did not join hostilities against Iran. And this says a lot. Remember, the Houthis, which declared a maritime blockade of Saudi Arabia, did not hold back. Over the weekend itself, the group struck a facility operated by Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil firm in retaliation for the alleged incursions by drones into northwest Yemen. And this facility reportedly processes 400,000 barrels of crude oil per day. 400,000 barrels. On its part, Riyadh clarified that a fire which broke out at this facility was extinguished and no injuries were reported. That's not all. Houthis also attacked Yemen's port city of Mecca. Now, take a look at these visuals. The Houthis claim to have launched a barrage of ballistic missiles and drones towards alleged Saudi troops and weapon depots in Mecca as part of that large-scale operation. Thick plumes of black smoke billowed. Loud explosions rang out as the Houthis launched the attack. According to Yemen's military, at least 11 people, including 8 military personnel and 3 civilians, were killed in the first wave of attacks, whereas 32 others were injured. As per the military, its air defenses intercepted and shot down 11 Houthi drones. Now, even Turkey, in fact, has remained silent, while the Turkish foreign minister affirmed that the Mecca pact has a NATO-like Article 5, similar to the NATO Article 5 collective defense clause. He told the media as well that the agreement does not target any country, amid speculation of whether it will rush to Saudi Arabia's aid in the conflict. Pakistan also issued a clarification. Its Deputy PM and Foreign Minister said, I'm quoting, "I wish to reiterate that the Mecca Accord is defensive in nature. It's not directed against any country." He also added that its purpose is to strengthen collective deterrence against external aggression. Interestingly, Iran also made it clear it's not worried by the Mecca pact, taking a dig at the US, it seemed. It reasoned that this agreement showed that countries are relying more on their own capabilities rather than those of outside powers. Listen to this.
Since we have deep religious, historical and civilizational ties with the two neighboring countries of Turkey and Pakistan, as well as Saudi Arabia, there is no reason to worry that this treaty will be against Iran.
Let's also decode for you why Pakistan is running away from joining forces with Saudi Arabia, it seems. Even after the intense strikes by the US and Israel, Iran maintains a strong military and arsenal of weapons that can cause significant damage to Pakistan. The answer also is in Balochistan's strategic location. It shares a 900-kilometer-long border with Iran, remember, which is not easy to manage at all, considering that Balochistan has been on the boil. And even as Pakistan continues to jail human rights activists like Mehrang Baloch, the unrest on the ground cannot be understated. In the month of July itself, the Pakistani military revealed at least 42 people, most of whom were security personnel, were killed in 3 attacks by the Baloch insurgents. In subsequent operations, Pakistani forces claimed to have killed at least 129 militants. The Baloch Liberation Army has also intensified its operations, by the way. In July, gunmen killed 9 police officers in an attack on a checkpost. This was at the dam project in Balochistan. And that's not all. In May, over 30 people were killed after a suicide bomber rammed an explosive-laden car into a train in Quetta, which was carrying Pakistani security personnel and their families. Let's also talk about the situation in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. It remains volatile, to say the least. Amid Asim Muni's brutal crackdown on civilians and supporters of the Joint Awami Action Committee, third round of the so-called assembly elections in POK were held only in 4 constituencies, whereas polling was indefinitely postponed in 7 other seats. And as Pakistan's turmoil intensifies and the crises continue, a key question is there. Is it even in a viable position to fulfill the commitments of the Mecca pact, given what's happening? And if that is the case, it's clear that the agreement was more of symbolism than actual substance.
We're doing very well. I just,
Meanwhile, you can call it the Iran war, the West Asia crisis, the Hormuz turmoil, so on and so forth. For Donald Trump, it is, in his own words, a game of chess. At least that's what he is calling it right now. But it's a game with the global economy held hostage. He stands checkmated, it seems. He is in a trap of his own making, and he will not admit it. We just told you what's happened on the ground. The Houthi rebels released footage set to show missiles and drones being launched towards Saudi Arabia in the port city of Mecca in western Yemen. These were Saudi targets. In fact, the Houthis warned Saudi Arabia. It was a strong message. Earlier, the National Resistance Forces, a Yemeni government allied force, said at least 7 were killed, 15 others injured in the attack. Mocha, remember, is one of the main ports under the Yemeni government and has been renovated to handle shipping that avoids the Houthi-led port of Hodeidah. The attack, according to the Yemeni Information Ministry, severely damaged port buildings and piers, as well as commercial goods and food supplies. In fact, the Iran-backed group struck a government-held port on Saudi Arabia's Red Sea coast, killing several people, deepening fears over threats to strategic West Asia shipping routes and also a potential return to the war. Earlier, the group spokesperson also said the Houthis had struck the oil facility on Saudi Arabia's Red Sea coast after the kingdom's energy ministry said it had extinguished that fire at the Jazan site. He added that the attack had been launched in response to Saudi incursions into territory in northwestern Yemen, allegedly. But let's just talk about what's been happening behind the scenes. What is the strategy at this point, and what is Trump considering? He has told Axios, we are low-keying it with Iran, quote unquote. Let's just, for now, break down what he has said. According to him, we are low-keying it. Trump said during that phone call, we are only semi-negotiating with them. We are just watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact that they have no money, quote unquote. That's what he told Axios reportedly. He also claimed that Iran is in very bad shape economically. Not just that, Trump said, quoting, it will work out, it always works out, it's like a chess game. That's what he told Axios. And according to that report, President Trump has signaled that he is prepared to allow economic pressure on Iran to mount as opposed to ordering a new military offensive. That's a clear shift, and the timing here is also very interesting. Remember, only about a week ago, Trump was reportedly on the verge of ordering a return to major combat operations. In an interview with Axios, he reportedly did not make any new military threats. It seems to be a shift in approach from exerting military pressure to actually putting economic pressure. But the question also is, will this shift in strategy work out, given all that lies at stake? Trump would certainly hope that it does. At the same time, Trump said that with oil down to slightly over $75 a barrel, U.S. consumers are feeling less pain from the war. Like he said, it always works out, but will it really? He says the pain is hardly there, but that is not the case. He also argues Iran's economy is buckling, pointing to the toll of the U.S. naval blockade. That's what he tries to say, but here's a bit of a reality check for Trump. Here's what's happening in reality and behind the scenes. This comes as Iran is absolutely not kneeling. In fact, it continues to defy the United States. Also, the pressure on American soil is only mounting for Donald Trump. Does he have enough time to play this waiting game, especially when the other side is not exactly signaling willingness to fold? Trump himself is facing a deadline. The midterms are approaching. Gas prices remain high. The war is getting more and more unpopular as far as the sentiment is concerned. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump indicated he could be willing to end the war without a formal nuclear deal. So what has he achieved then? And if Iran agrees to reopen the Strait of Hormuz is the condition that would allow Trump to declare an end to the conflict and claim victory without securing a comprehensive nuclear accord with Tehran. But then will that happen? Remember, Tehran has set a high price for reopening that crucial waterway. Here's what else has happened in Iran that carries a lot of significance. The man who once wanted to save Iran's economy by taking Americans hostage has now been put in charge of Iran's security. Let's tell you more about who he is. Iran appointed him as the secretary of its Supreme National Security Council, basically promoting a prominent hardliner and close ally of Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei to the role more than 5 months into that conflict with America, and he replaces Mohammad Zolgadar as second in command of the body that basically coordinates Iran's security and foreign policy. This is like a game of chess for Trump, but at this point, all eyes are on his next move. Every move matters. One miscalculation at this point, one wrong move can be disastrous, not just for him, but beyond. And Trump cannot afford to make any wrong move at this point. Perhaps that's why for now he's not making any big move. One thing is for sure, as of now for Trump, there is no light at the end of this tunnel. Shifting focus, Ukraine has just struck deep inside Russia with one of its deadliest drone attacks of the war. The target was more than 1,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Russian officials say 13, including a child, was killed in the Ukrainian drone attack. Now, Kiev is bracing for the response, with Russia still expanding its missile campaign and Ukraine running dangerously short of the interceptors needed to stop it.
The blast was far from the battlefield. The target was deep inside Russia. Russia has been jolted by a massive, deadly drone attack on Nishikamsk in Tatarstan region. Ukraine says it targeted the Taneko oil refinery, where fires are seen. Nishikamsk is a major industrial hub, and the refinery is more than 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine's border. That distance matters, as it shows how Russia is failing to stop an incoming missile or drone which is striking so deep inside its territory. Ukraine has been increasingly taking the war deep inside Russia, using long-range drones to hit oil refineries, fuel infrastructure and other strategic targets. But every deep strike carries a massive risk: retaliation. Russia has repeatedly responded to major Ukrainian attacks with intense missile and drone assaults. And Ukraine is now preparing for another possible escalation. The danger is particularly serious because Ukraine's air defense stocks are under pressure. Kyiv has warned of an acute shortage of interceptor missiles, including those needed for advanced systems such as Patriot. Ukrainian officials say deliveries on air defense missiles this year have fallen sharply, while Russia continues to launch large ballistic missile attacks. The vulnerability has already been exposed. During a major Russian bombardment in July, Ukraine admitted that it failed to intercept any of the 23 ballistic missiles launched in one attack. Russia is now showing no sign of slowing down. Moscow continues to expand missile production and maintain a heavy strike campaign against Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. Recent Russian attacks damaged Ukraine's Odessa port, adding another layer to the escalating battle over Ukraine's critical infrastructure. So the battlefield is widening again. Ukraine is sending drones deeper into Russia. Russia is responding with missiles and drones across Ukraine, and Kyiv knows the next Russian strike could come with little warning. The question now is not whether Moscow will respond, it is how hard. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Shifting focus, let's also tell you what's unfolded in Colombia. It was rocked by a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake, killing at least 20 people, causing widespread damages across several parts. In fact, the visuals showing the power of the earthquake, debris seen falling from an emergency services building during that earthquake. At least 20 structures have collapsed in that one part, leading to emergency teams assessing the extent of the damage. In fact, the mayor there has requested the rescue teams to support emergency operations, basically the teams from other parts. Somewhat similar horrific images were captured in another part, which showed a side tower of the iconic cathedral there collapsing with debris falling on the nearby streets. The earthquake has prompted evacuations in several parts as authorities urge the residents to stay away from buildings showing structural damage. The 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck at around 7:34 a.m. local time. With the epicenter, this was near an area in Choco province. The Colombian Geological Service also put the depth at around 96 kilometers, while other authorities reported a depth of 79 kilometers or more. The earthquake was strongly felt in Colombia's major cities. It was also felt across the border, in fact, in Ecuador and Venezuela. In one part, 18 people were reportedly killed, while others were trapped after buildings were collapsed there. Authorities also reported injuries and structural damage across the affected area. The earthquake is reportedly the strongest to hit Colombia in the last decade, triggering a large-scale emergency response. Authorities are also warning people to remain alert for possible aftershocks. The earthquake coming weeks after two powerful earthquakes, remember, of 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude hit Venezuela in June, killing more than 5,000 people, destroying hundreds of buildings. Let's now tell you about what's unfolded in India's Jharkhand. Amid the rise of the Cockroach Janta Party, students continue to raise their voice in India close to 2 weeks now. In fact, Jharkhand has been rocked by massive protests over alleged irregularities in competitive examinations. Today marked a major escalation. Thousands of protesters marched towards the state assembly to surround it from all sides. Take a look. Earlier in the day, protesters came out on the streets of Ranchi with placards holding the tricolour, even as heavy security arrangements were put in place. But the situation got all the more tense when the students reportedly moved closer to the assembly as they tried to break through the police barricades. In response, the police used water cannons to disperse the crowd, but this seemed to have little impact on the protesters, who were seen dancing after being sprayed upon with water. Visuals showed utter chaos at the spot. The police also resorted to lathi charge.
बैरिकेडिंग के पास छात्र जो आंदोलनरत हैं उनके ऊपर बर्बरतापूर्ण लाठीचार्ज की गई है। लाठीचार्ज का नियम क्या होता है? कमर से नीचे लाठीचार्ज की जाती है, पर यहाँ पे सर पे, हाथ पे, मुंह पे, हर जगह लाठी मारा जा रहा है। ये सरकार की नीति को समझाता है, इसकी दोहरी नीति को समझाता है।
Visuals showed how the students were tear gassed by the police as well. Take a look.
प्रदर्शनकारियों पर अश्रु गैस के गोले छोड़े जा रहे हैं। ये देखिए, अश्रु गैस के गोले छोड़े जा रहे हैं।
Under fire from the BJP, which rules at the center, over the Jharkhand government's crackdown on the protesters. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi made it clear that Congress condemns violence against students anywhere in the country.
झारखंड के छात्रों के लिए मेरा मैसेज क्लियर है. We condemn any violence against peacefully protesting students. Does not matter where it is happening. We condemn it. We are against it. We do not recommend it. We do not support it. We are very clear. कोई confusion नहीं हमारे mind में.
Meanwhile, the student leader, Devendra Nath, who has been on a hunger strike, remember, for 9 days now, also joined the protest in an ambulance, carrying a photo of ex-Jharkhand CM, Shibu Soren. He maintained that no one from the government had reached out so far. Let's just take a step back here and tell you what exactly these protests are all about. What was the trigger? It all started with the combined civil services exam conducted by the Jharkhand Public Service Commission, JPSC, which was held on April 19 early this year. While the JPSC advertised 103 vacancies for this exam, 2,204 candidates were shortlisted for the mains. Subsequently, candidates raised questions about transparency of the results, including absence of category-wise cut-off marks and concerns about the merit list. And after holding multiple rounds of talks with the protesters, the Jharkhand government agreed to cancel the results of the above-mentioned exam as well as 2 backlog exams. But it refused to cancel the result of the combined graduate level exam conducted in 2024 by the Jharkhand Staff Selection Commission. The Jharkhand Staff Selection Commission, that's JSSC. But the students went ahead with the march to the assembly as they continue to demand a CBI investigation into the alleged irregularities regarding these exams. There is mounting concern. On its part, the Jharkhand government claimed to have accepted 98% of the protesters' demands, while 3 members of the JPSC have already resigned. Also, the Jharkhand CID arrested former JPSC chairperson from his residence in connection with the alleged exam-related irregularities. That's not all. India's premier federal agency, Enforcement Directorate, will be probing the money laundering angle as well in this matter. But look at the bigger picture here. Public recruitment in Jharkhand has been plagued by delays, also allegations of irregularities for years now. And as the students spend years preparing for the government exams, it has a huge impact, of course, on their employment prospects as well, with the students showing no signs of relenting as they seek broader reforms in Jharkhand's recruitment bodies. Pressure is rising on the state government to engage with the students, find a meaningful solution, at least. Time now to take a quick look at the global headlines at this hour, taking you around the world in 120 seconds.
Russia's northern NATO neighbors are tightening security around dams, power plants and natural gas infrastructure in a sign of mounting concern that Moscow will stage a false flag attack on them using Ukrainian drones. The Swedish Security Service says it thwarted a Russian intelligence operation aimed at discrediting Sweden and which involved an agent working in a foreign diplomatic mission in Sweden. Bangladesh's PM Tariq Rahman has restated his government's request for India to extradite former leader Sheikh Hasina. during a courtesy meeting with the Indian High Commissioner Dinesh Trivedi in Dhaka. Leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, rejects the government's offer of a discussion on student issues, demanding that Union Home Minister Amit Shah first answer who authorized the alleged firing on protesting students in Delhi. Indonesia deploys 43 helicopters and hundreds of personnel as wildfires rage across East Java and Sumatra, burning over 107,000 hectares of land. A former gang leader goes on trial in Las Vegas over the decades-old murder of rapper Tupac Shakur, one of America's most high-profile unresolved murders.
What if China launches an invasion of Taiwan and finds the island has turned the battlefield into a swarm? Taiwan is rehearsing a new kind of warfare, it seems, using drones, unmanned boats and missiles to hunt a possible invading force from the sea to the shore. But then can Taiwan's Ukraine-inspired strategy really turn and stop a massive Chinese assault is the question. Our next story decoding the tactics and the preparations in Taiwan during the ongoing military drills.
The invasion fleet is coming. The beaches are under attack. And suddenly the sky starts filling with drones. Along with that is intense artillery fire from ground-based forces. That is the battlefield Taiwan is preparing for during its massive 10-day Han Kuang military exercises. Taiwan is putting a new combat concept through its paces. The goal is simple. If Chinese forces cross the Taiwan Strait, make every kilometer of their advance dangerous. Taiwan is looking closely at Ukraine. Ukraine has turned cheap drones into some of the most important weapons of its war against Russia. Small unmanned aircraft can find troops, track armor, identify artillery, and attack targets far behind the front line. Taiwan wants to bring the tactic to an invasion across the Taiwan Strait. If that fails, then Taiwanese troops plan to use concrete barriers, barbed wire and HESCO walls to block a key bridge near Taipei in a drill to stop invading Chinese forces attempting to advance on the capital.
The enemy is landing via the Lanyang River, aiming primarily to seize Suao Port to either force an administrative disembarkation or disrupt our strategic resupply operations. Therefore, our mission is to destroy the enemy in the designated engagement area outside the port before they can reach it.
Taiwanese troops also simulated a nuclear, biological and chemical attack. Soldiers, tanks and armored vehicles were then decontaminated in an exercise designed to test the military's ability to respond swiftly to such attacks and return personnel and equipment to combat operations as quickly as possible.
What you see now is our decontamination station. Its main purpose is to assist in the removal of NBC contamination from our important combat equipment, such as armored vehicles and tanks, allowing our vehicles to recover quickly and ensuring the safety of our personnel.
China claims Taiwan is part of its territory and has threatened to use force to seize the island of 23 million people. To counter the mighty Chinese military, Taiwan has set an ambitious target of producing up to 100,000 drones every month by 2030. Why? Because Taiwan knows it cannot simply match China weapon for weapon. China has a vastly larger military and industrial base. So Taiwan is looking for another advantage: volume. Cheap drones can be produced faster than sophisticated missiles. They can be dispersed, they can be replaced, and they can force an attacker to spend expensive weapons defending against relatively inexpensive threats. But there is a major question. Will it work against China? Well, Ukraine's battlefield experience offers valuable lessons. But Taiwan faces a completely different problem. Ukraine has fought primarily across land. Taiwan must stop an amphibious assault. China would have to move troops, armor, fuel and supplies across the Taiwan Strait and keep them moving under fire. That creates a massive vulnerability, but it also creates an enormous challenge for Taiwan. Chinese forces could attack drone production facilities, jam communications, destroy launch sites, use electronic warfare, and overwhelm defenses with missiles, aircraft and naval power. So Taiwan is not betting everything on drones. It is combining them with missiles, attack boats, mines, artillery and conventional forces. The message from the drills is clear. Taiwan does not expect to stop an invasion with one weapon. It wants to turn the entire battlefield against the invader. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Let's now take you to South India. The political row there in Tamil Nadu is refusing to die down. In fact, the Chief Minister has come under heavy criticism for calling an all-party meeting on delimitation, with the opposition DMK and the AIADMK accusing Vijay of using the issue to divert attention from the ongoing Kaveri dispute. Vijay's government is also slated to pass a resolution in the Assembly, formally registering its objection to delimitation. The move coming just days after Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, remember, convened that all-party meeting on the issue. But on Saturday itself, only 37 out of the 57 MPs from the state attended the meeting. All 30 MPs of the DMK skipped the meeting. Other opposition parties, including the AIADMK, PMK, MNM, DMDK, also skipped the meeting. The meeting came amid reports that the union government may reintroduce the contentious delimitation bill this month itself. In fact, the Supreme Court also agreed to hear a petition filed by Vijay's government seeking directions to Karnataka to comply with the Kaveri Water Management Authority's decision to release water to Tamil Nadu. The development coming amid growing confrontation between the TVK and the DMK over the Kaveri dispute issue. The DMK has been critical of TVK's approach towards the matter, accusing Vijay's government of not putting the state's arguments forcefully enough. Before we go on any further, a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We are decoding for you and telling you all about the immigration of doctors, engineers, other highly educated Israelis, which has now hit a record high. What is this exodus all about? Why are astronomers, astrologers excited about the total solar eclipse slated for the 12th of August? Have you ever tracked your dating life using a spreadsheet? We tell you all about this new trend in the dating world. All this and a lot more coming up. Let's now shift our focus to Israel. It's losing some of the people it can perhaps least afford to lose right now. A new Israeli tax authority study showing a sharp surge in emigration among the country's highest paid professionals, including technology workers, doctors, engineers, raising fears in Israel of a deepening brain drain and billions of dollars in lost tax revenue. The exodus of affluent Israelis nearly doubled in 2023 and 2024 compared with the years before 2020, reaching record levels. This matters because Israel is a country with few natural resources and depends heavily on human capital for both economic growth as well as national security. The top 20% of the earners contribute 92% of the country's income tax revenue. 92% of the income tax revenue. Technology, in fact, is at the heart of that system. The sector generates about 1/5 of Israel's gross domestic product, more than half of its exports, and roughly 1/3 of the total income tax revenue through salaried workers. The tax authority's Planning and Economics Division examined income and tax data for working Israelis who emigrated between 2015 and 2024. It found that immigrants now earn about 50% more than the average Israeli before leaving the country. Very interesting. The study says the outflow increasingly involves highly educated professionals in the prime of their careers. Researchers say the data cannot establish one cause. They point to post-COVID-19 pandemic labor market changes, also political upheaval over the judicial overhaul, and the security crisis that followed the October 7 attacks and the war in Gaza. Let's just get you some historical context here. Historically, Israelis often emigrated in search of better economic opportunities abroad. But the latest research suggesting prolonged conflict and political tensions are now contributing to elevated departures. According to a Tel Aviv University report, nearly 50,000 Israelis left the country in 2025, the third consecutive year at that level. A trend, it says, could also threaten Israel's long-term strategic interests. The financial impact is quite significant as well. Annual income taxes paid by Israelis in the year before they left averaged about $166 million through 2019. And that jumped to roughly $400 million annually in 2023 and 2024. The study estimating the current trend could cost Israel about $233 million in tax revenue for each year of elevated immigration. Experts warn that if the trend continues at this pace, the annual loss could reach $3.5 billion within 5 years. The tax authority also found that Israelis in their 40s and 50s now account for about 20% of immigrants over the age of 20, up from 13% a decade ago. Researchers also warn that losing highly skilled, in fact high-skilled, high-income workers could create a cycle that becomes increasingly difficult for Israel to reverse. Let's now talk about what's happening in the United States. After years of Donald Trump at the helm of affairs, is America now moving towards the left? Socialism, which was once a relic of the past in a way in America, is pretty much back in demand. Let's tell you how. For example, Abdul El-Sayed, he became the latest left-leaning candidate, remember, to win the Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. It was a very significant development ahead of November's midterm elections. He faced the ire of none other than the U.S. president himself. Listen to this. And in particular, the Democratic Socialists came into focus after Zohran Mamdani beat all odds and created history to become New York's first Muslim mayor. The Democratic Socialists advocate an expanded role for the state, universal health care, taxing the rich, just to list out a few. According to a recent poll conducted by CNN, 1/3 of Democratic Party-leaning adults now identify as Democratic Socialists. Let's just look at some more insights. A majority of them tend to be younger than 45 years of age. They're also less likely to have a college degree with relatively less annual earning. Most importantly, nearly 68% of them hold favorable views of the Democratic Party. It's very interesting. But why exactly has socialism not gained a foothold in the US, unlike most other parts of the world? Experts attribute this to the lack of a strong trade union movement, ingrained values of capitalism, and absence of a feudal system. What has also changed is a question. Trump's policies are believed to have generated a radical response. Not just that, the growing inequality of wealth, income, opportunity has also played a crucial role in socialist principles slowly gaining ground. As per a Gallup poll last year, almost 4 in 10 US voters had a positive view of socialism. While it remains to be seen as to how many candidates espousing the socialist point of view actually get elected, it is amply clear that there is an opportunity to channelize the growing resentment against Trump's governance style as such. On to a Gravitas special report. Ferocious winds, torrential rainfall, mass evacuations, widespread flooding. Typhoon Dolphin has unleashed its fury on eastern China, but the atmospheric disturbance caused from the storm could have far-reaching consequences and impact thousands of kilometers away. Specifically for India's monsoon, even as that threat looms large, authorities in China are gauging the full scale of the typhoon's destruction. China, in fact, issued a red typhoon warning after Dolphin made 2 landfalls. Authorities across eastern China raised emergency response levels as the floods, landslides, the typhoon damaged threatened economies. More than 1 million people have been evacuated. Hundreds of flights and trains have been suspended or cancelled. Authorities have also released water from the rivers and the reservoirs as water levels continue to rise. Shanghai has taken a direct hit from the torrential rain. Suburban areas and residential compounds have flooded. Metro operations and ferry services have been disrupted. Rescue teams have evacuated residents and pumped out flood water as well. But floodwater is not the only threat. Eyewitness videos showing a truck being flipped on its side as heavy rain and powerful winds pounded Wenzhou in eastern Zhejiang province. Winds of up to 151 kilometers per hour were recorded near the typhoon's center when it made landfall in a province around 300 kilometers southwest of Shanghai. In fact, this is the strongest typhoon to hit China this year. More than 900 trees have been damaged in Wenzhou itself. Dolphin has now weakened to a tropical storm, but the threat is not over. The slow-moving system can still bring prolonged heavy rainfall, keeping the risk of floods and landslides high. In Hong Kong, the story has been very different, but just as extreme in a way. The typhoon's outer airflow has pushed temperatures to extreme levels. Residents and tourists have been searching for shade as well as relief. Hong Kong has recorded its hottest days since official meteorological records started in 1884. Temperatures could hit 37 degrees Celsius or higher in some parts. On to a report about how day turns into pitch black night this Wednesday, as a historic total solar eclipse sweeps across. In fact, scientists prepare for an unprecedented cosmic event, while astrologers warn of dramatic shifts. Nearly 1 billion people could potentially see a partial solar eclipse, with 15 million in its path of totality.
For a few minutes, daylight will collapse into darkness. The sun will turn into a black disk, and around it, a ghostly white crown will suddenly appear. This is the solar corona, the sun's vast outer atmosphere. Normally, it is almost impossible to see because the brilliant surface of the sun overwhelms it. But during totality, the moon blocks that surface almost perfectly, and that changes everything. On August 12th, the corona could reveal something nobody has ever seen in exactly the same form before. Not because scientists have never seen the corona, but because the corona itself is constantly changing. It is shaped by the sun's magnetic field, and that magnetic field is never still. Every eclipse, therefore, captures a unique moment in the life of our star.
So when we have that moment of totality of the moon directly in front of the sun, it reveals the sun's outer wispy atmosphere called the corona, something that's still quite mysterious to astronomers, so we can study it during that moment. So actually, they're incredibly useful as well.
The total eclipse will cross parts of Greenland, Iceland, Spain, northern Russia, and a small part of Portugal. Millions more across Europe and beyond will see a partial eclipse. In Britain and Ireland, the moon will cover roughly 90 to 96% of the sun, with the best views towards the southwest. Eclipse fever is building in Madrid, where residents and visitors are scrambling to get their hands on protective glasses.
It has been a dream for me to see the real one with a sunny day. And this year it will be a solar eclipse during the sunset. So I guess it will be more romantic with all the sunset views. So it will be really exciting to see.
It's extremely beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to this one because at sunset it's a magical time anyway. And yeah, 1 minute 40 of totality. Hopefully I find a nice place on the side of a hill in the countryside.
Astrologers are also closely watching the solar eclipse, viewing it as a period of major shifts, new beginnings, and emotional turning points. For some, it may bring changes in career, relationships, and personal priorities, depending on their zodiac sign and birth chart. But for science, the real attraction is much bigger. For a few fleeting minutes, the moon will switch off the sun's glare and expose a changing world of plasma and magnetic fields. a view that will happen once and never look exactly the same again.
And from that, let's now take you to Gravitas image of the day. For that, we are taking you to Syria, where hundreds of Kurds returned back to their homes in the northeastern border town of Ras Al Ain. After years of displacement, the town located along the border with Turkey exchanged hands several times during Syria's civil war. And time now to get you the big question that is hanging in the air, the answer to which determines a lot. Iran has made it clear that the Strait of Hormuz will not be reopened unless the US halts that naval blockade. Which leads us to ask, with both sides still at crossroads, will a prospective deal be delayed even further? And what lies ahead for West Asia then? And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Modi Kampesh, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout.
Once a year, grown men in this city put on 3-piece suits, or well, at least a blazer, in 40-degree heat and call it a good idea. This is the distinguished gentleman's rite. It happens on the same day in over 100-odd countries. And it started, of all places, with a photograph. A bloke in Sydney saw visuals of a television character, remember Mad Men, and thought, why don't men dress like that anymore? Men don't gather like that anymore. So he put it online. A few mates, nice clothes, old motorcycles. That was 2012. Today it is one of the largest motorcycle events on earth. And we'll get to this. It isn't really about the motorcycles at all.
Motorcycling is about escaping things. It's about getting out there and getting away from the realities of your life and getting some time to yourself. But this is not about escapism. It's more about, in fact, confronting the things that we don't usually talk about. Men's health and mental illness. So